Joining us now is Edward Pozzuoli, who's former chair of the Republican Party in Broward County, now president of the law firm Tripp Scott. And we're so glad to have you here. Thanks very much for joining us. A Lovefest. The president talking about great unity within the Republican Party, and yet a lot of people would look at comments that we've heard over the last couple of days from Senators Flake and Corker, McCain, and say, wait a minute, where's the unity there?
Well, is it a surprise to your viewers that there's fighting in Washington, infighting in Washington? It's not really news, big news. Look, it doesn't matter whether Republicans get along. The real question is whether or not, on a principled basis, are they going to be able to come together and pass tax reform. That's up next, and that's vital for them in 2018. It's not only vital for the administration, but it's vital for House and Senate leadership so that they can get something done and live up to their promises that they made during the 2016 election, and then even before that for some of them.
Mm-hmm.
But is this, do you see a split happening in the party here? I mean, if there is a split, it might be hard to get any legislation passed at all, right?
This is democracy in action. And so whether it's clean or messy, whatever it is, the bottom line is the party is big enough to have different viewpoints on specific issues. As long as we're able to rally around some basic points, right? Those points are a smaller, more efficient government, more freedom, less taxes, less regulation, and giving more power to those people who want to search and seek the American dream. I think that is the key messaging around that. As long as we can live by that, then we'll be fine.
But aren't you, as a Republican, concerned about what you heard yesterday from Jeff Flake? What you've heard, this Twitter war that was going on between Senator Corker of Tennessee and the president. Don't you, as a leader in the GOP, wish that somebody would put the reins on President Trump?
Well, President Trump, you miss the whole Twitter. And personally, do I hope he puts his Twitter down sometimes? The answer is sure. But on the other hand, there is a one-way conversation going on between President Trump and the American people. And whether we like it or not, or whether people in Washington like it or not, people like the fact that they hear from the president directly. Unvarnished, uncensored, directly. There is a certain authenticity to that people seem to like. And so we've got to understand that's a political dynamic that's going on in our country today. He also speaks to the frustration, I think, both on the left and the right, about whether our government is being responsive to the people's needs. And so there's some of that going on. Now, am I concerned about Jeff Flake? Not really. Jeff Flake wrote a book. It was critical of the president. Jeff Flake, you know, honestly, all politics are local. Jeff Flake's approval ratings in Arizona are under 20%. I know the man, but do I think that he speaks for most Republicans? No.
You talked about some of the promises that Republicans have made that have helped them win majorities in both the House and the Senate. And of course, they occupy the White House as well. And there are a lot of people saying that if they can't get something done, if Republicans can't pass this tax reform bill, then they're going to have a lot of problems in next year's midterm election with voters who say, wait a minute, you guys have control over everything and you can't even do this?
So let's understand what they do control. They also control 34 of 50 gubernatorial mansions across the nation. They also control 33 both governor's mansions and both sides of the legislature in 33 states. That's huge. So somebody who says the Republican Party is in crisis, I don't see it. Fundraising on the RNC is at least 2.5 times that of the VNC. Again, a good measure about where we are. So those are things that I'd like to say that on the Republican side, those things are bright. On the other hand, I would say for congressional leadership that's run by the Republicans, both the House and Senate, they need to pass two things, in my view. They need to pass tax reform, and I'd like for them to go back and repeal and replace Obamacare.
And you mentioned those two things very quickly. What do you think is going to happen? Are they going to be able to do it? Is your party going to be able to do that?
I think so. And this idea that Senator Corker or Senator Flake are not going to be there for tax reform, that would be very disappointing on a personal basis. Forget about whether they're best friends with Donald Trump or not. The real question is, are they men of principle? And if they are, they'll be with the tax reform package that's going through the Senate now.
Their votes are crucial. It can't pass without them. Ed Pozzuoli is the former chairman of the Republican Party in Broward County. We're so glad to have you here. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.